All right. I want to thank everybody for coming out to this news conference today, and a good day. Quite frankly, we had some good news announced today by the governor, and so we want to talk a little bit about that as well as some other issues surrounding businesses here within Fresno County. Scott, why don't you come on up here? With us today, we have to my far right is Assistant City Manager Greg Barfield. Greg is also in charge of our emergency operations centers for the city of Fresno as it pertains to COVID. And he also is our representative to the county's EOC, Emergency Operations Center, and has weekly meetings with them to talk about issues pertaining to the county and the region. Also next to him is Chuck Van Fleet. Chuck is the local chapter president for the California Restaurant Association. Pleased to have him here. And then we have Scott Miller, who's newly appointed. I believe you're the president and CEO of the chamber and local business person as well. And then we have Council District 2 Representative Mike Karbassi standing behind me. So the good news today for the county of Fresno, city of Fresno, and for the entire state was that the stay-at-home order was lifted. And I think all of you know over the past 2 months, at least in the county of Fresno, we've had some very, very challenging times for our local businesses, including our restaurants, our nail salons, beauty parlors, etc. And about 2 months was when our restaurants were prohibited from having outdoor dining. Prior to that, as you know, indoor dining was restricted as well. And so the stay-at-home order being lifted today allows for outdoor dining to occur again, of course, with certain modifications. And what's important to note is the reason why that stay-at-home order was lifted. And it really is certainly based on our current conditions, but more so what's projected to occur over the next few weeks. And currently, we are at 18% positivity rate here in Fresno County. So we know that in order for us to go from the purple tier to the red tier, which will then allow for indoor dining, we need to get down to a target of 7% positivity rating. So we still have some ways to go there. Currently in our county, out of the 174 ICU beds, we only have 7 available. And so certainly we have to continue to take the precautions that we need to prevent the spread of COVID because, again, 7 ICU beds available in all of Fresno County. And the good news is it's projected by February 21st within our region, within the 7-county region, it's projected to be at 22.3% availability of ICU beds. So, however, that can change. It can change if people let their guard down. It can change if people stop socially distancing. It can change if people make the decision not to wear a mask, especially when they're indoors. And we know that oftentimes people have been challenging that direction as of late, and we want to make sure that they don't. But today it's good news for our business community. It is good news for our restaurant owners. I know I've been on the phone with a number of restaurant owners today who are excited about the fact that they're going to open up outdoor dining, although we certainly don't have conducive weather for that right now. But we know that's going to change very, very shortly. And we also know that they can take some measures that's going to allow for a more warmer environment for that outdoor dining. And before I get into some of the other topics that I wanted to talk about today as it pertains to what occurred this weekend at Sprouts and a couple of other businesses with people who are refusing to wear masks, I really wanted to start out by bringing our council member from District 2, Mike Karbassi, up here to say a few words. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Mike Karbassi. I'm the council member of Northwest Fresno. I just want to express my gratitude to the people here today with the Chamber and with the California Restaurant Association. You know, this has been a really tough time for so many, and they don't just represent the business owners, they represent the thousands of employees. I've had business owners, restaurant owners in my district call me, and we spend more time talking about the fact that they're devastated having to lay off their employees because they're college students, they're single parents. These are people that are our neighbors, they're our family, and they depend on the flexibility of these jobs. And it's nice to know that this is going to be, you know, relieving the pressure a little bit to help jumpstart our economy again. In regards to the terrible incident that occurred at Sprouts in District 2, the mayor is going to give a briefing on the city's response to that, but I just want to say, I think most people, regardless of your political background, we want to do what's right, and stopping a business from operating and forcing employees to have to go home because you're blocking a business from functioning, it's not right. You can't say you support business when you're willing to do that. You can't say you support rights when you're taking away someone's ability to earn. And I can understand the frustration. We all have constitutional rights. We have an obligation. We swore to defend the Constitution, and we're going to do that. But political stunts aren't going to get us out of this recession. They're not going to get us out of this difficult time. And it's incumbent upon us as council members, regardless of our political affiliation, to do the right thing and to stand up for commerce and the rights of people to earn. Thank you very much. Well, the one individual that was cited for trespassing, and I'm sure the mayor will comment on this, it was a citizen's arrest. He was cited for trespassing because he was interacting and impeding someone wanting to be able to come in, because customers will feel unsafe to go into that environment when there's a commotion like that.
We'll take questions afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take questions afterwards. I'll make sure. We're not going to cut this thing short, trust me. And so I do want to have Chuck Van Fleet come up and give his perspective on behalf of the restaurant owners, because honestly, you know, those are the ones that have been impacted along with the other businesses. But I want to give him that firsthand view.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, for allowing me to come out today. By what has happened today with lifting of the stay-at-home orders and restaurants can start do dining outside with modifications, it means that we get to bring employees back. We get to bring people that have worked with us for years, okay, back to work so that they can finally start earning some money. We have people that may have 3 kids at home and they have to take care of them. I have one server who's pregnant right now, and I mean, without hours, she's not able to pay for all the care she needs. So we are looking forward to bringing back some of the people, which is just makes us all happy. By no means does this make it viable for restaurants to survive. We have to get to indoor dining at 50% at some point in order for us to survive. This just means that we're managing loss a little bit better. We will be able to have some more revenue coming in, but that's not profitable revenue. We're still way beyond the break-even point for restaurants. We need to recover. We need to get through this, and the only way to really keep getting through this is by not arguing with somebody when you come in about wearing a mask. The mask is not there for you. The mask is for the protection of the employees and the other people that you're around. So I wholeheartedly support wearing masks because of other people. We're in a crunch with workman's comp being what it is, what they've done to us, that if our people get sick, that we're on the hook for a lot of things. So we need to wear masks, and we are excited that we can finally get open. We can start seeing some of our customers again, and we can bring back a little bit of hospitality to the hospitality business. Thank you very much.
Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit before we open it up to questions about what happened this weekend at not only Sprouts, but a liquor store as well. We have a group of individuals who believe that they're exercising their constitutional right to go to a business and to protest, and they are absolutely right. They have the constitutional right to go to a business and to protest within parameters. However, they take it a step further, and without wearing a mask, which is required by the business, they go into that business to do shopping. Not only are they exposing employees to certain risk because of them not wearing a mask, but also customers who are trying to go into that store and do shop for their family, and then refusing to leave the business. And that is when it becomes a violation of the law. When a owner of a store, manager of a store, employee of a store tells someone that they cannot be in their business for whatever reason. It could be the fact that they're not wearing shoes, they're not wearing a shirt, they're not wearing a mask, they're going through and starting to handle all of the vegetables and the fruits, and they shouldn't be. Whatever the case is, if a store employee says that a customer cannot be in a business and they choose to remain, it is trespassing. And the Fresno Police Department will respond, and they will enforce that violation of a trespass. That person will be issued a citation and released for a misdemeanor. If that person refuses to cooperate and continues to trespass, then that person will be subject to being arrested and taken and booked into Fresno County Jail. And that is the position of the city of Fresno. That is the position of the Fresno Police Department. That's not to say officers are out enforcing the law in terms of people not wearing a mask, but they will be enforcing the law when it comes to people violating trespassing laws and other laws as well in the city. There was one individual who was cited this weekend for trespassing, and it was exactly that. The second thing is that people feel that they can go into a store, not wear a mask, grab certain merchandise, and then put a dollar amount on the cashier's table and then walk out of the store. That also is not allowed, because as you go into a liquor store, there are certain requirements that a store clerk must have or comply with, such as perhaps checking a person's driver's license to see if in fact they are old enough to purchase alcohol or other items that may be in that store. So that too is not okay. And so what the Fresno Police Department is doing, Chief Balderrama, making arrangements to make contact today with individuals who have been responsible for promoting these types of events, simply for the purpose of gaining an understanding, letting them know what the rules are, what the laws are. And by the way, these are individuals that claim to be pro-law enforcement. However, what they do not understand is that when they go to a business and they create disruption and they go into the store without a mask and they violate the law, and police officers have to be pulled out of their neighborhood, away from their normal duties, trying to combat violent crime, that they're taken away from their normal duties. And 5 or 6 officers and a sergeant, a lieutenant, having to respond to a location like this or multiple locations is not right. And so even though they may think they're exercising their constitutional right, what they're doing is pulling police officers away from their normal duties in keeping people safe. And so what we're asking is, if they're going to conduct these types of operations, that they do so within the parameters of the law. We're asking business owners to establish at their business these locations within their parking lot that is close enough to where they can certainly have conversation with customers, but not be in a position to deny them entrance or block their entrance into establishment. And they can establish these areas for that to occur within their property. And again, whenever the police department gets called out to these locations, they're going to respond and enforce whatever violations of law there are. With that, I'll open up to any questions you might have for any of us. Well, I'm not as familiar with the particular circumstances. I'm very familiar with what's going on with the Tower Theater and the Venture Church, but I'm not aware of the particulars there. But people have the right to assemble. People have the right to protest. People have the freedom of speech that they can exercise. But it cannot come at the cost of inciting, where you're inciting individuals into some type of confrontation. It cannot be to the point where you're blocking someone's access and their freedom to worship. So there are laws that govern that, and it really is a case-by-case basis. And in terms of what occurred, I don't know this weekend, but I do know that people have the right to assemble, the right to protest, but they also have the right to worship. Sure. So the question is, do I have a response to the photographs that are circulating on social media where there are unmasked protesters taking photographs with at least one officer, as I understand it? I've seen the photograph. Here's the difficult position that police officers are put in. When police officers are at an event, oftentimes they're asked to take photographs of someone. And police officers want to do that because that is in furtherance of community policing. That is something that they do on a day-to-day basis. Here's the difference. When police officers are at an event that's considered to be political or politically motivated, and an officer is then asked to take a picture with somebody without a mask, that can be portrayed and was portrayed as the officer supporting people not wearing a mask. And that's simply not true. That officer was simply taking a photograph with a fellow citizen in the community who asked to do that. I can tell you that Chief Balderrama has sent a directive to all of his officers in the department to avoid those types of photographs in the future when they're at these politically motivated type events. Yeah, Corn, there's definitely people have the right to go in and out of a store without having that path hindered. And which is why oftentimes when there's going to be protests, they set aside a particular location for the protesters to occupy so that it does not hinder that path. What's made it even more challenging post-COVID or this COVID world is the fact is you have a limited number of people that can go into a store. So what that means is oftentimes at stores, they have a line every 6 feet of people outside the store, and there's even more opportunity for a confrontation to occur between protesters and the people outdoor. So the truth is what we're seeing today as a result of strong feelings one way or another regarding the mask is that it's ultimately impacting business. And as Chuck said earlier, our restaurants and our employees of restaurants have gone through a very difficult time this year. 35% of the restaurant owners have had to close their doors and may never come back. We've had employees of restaurants who have been laid off, who have been impacted, have not been able to pay rent, make their bills, make their mortgage payment. And then we have customers who come into businesses where those same restaurant employees are at, or restaurant owners, and they give them a hard time and refuse to be cooperative and wear a mask. I'm just asking people, can you just please abide by the mask rule in our city? And if there is a business that requires a mask, would you just wear it? Whether it's in a store or going into a restaurant. We do not need any more confrontations like we've had this weekend. They're unproductive. All they do is create a divide in our community. And at the end of the day, it takes our police officers away from their normal duties to protect our citizens. Sure. Well, so code enforcement is responding to certain businesses that are not supposed to be open, and honestly, they're trying to be very, very cordial, very business friendly, giving warnings, not citations, and they're trying to do their job. But in terms of whether or not a person wears a mask or not, that's really an owner of a store's responsibility to have the rules, and then when they violate the rule, they ask the individual to leave, and if they refuse to leave, then that's when law enforcement comes in and it becomes a violation of trespassing. So it's not necessarily an enforcement of the mask, it's a enforcement of violation of trespass. It will. Personal services like hair salons, beauty parlors, barber shops, nail salons, all of those are going to be allowed to be open. Indoor dining at restaurants is still not allowed. And again, we have to get to the red tier for that to occur. But I believe we are on our way to that. They have to have a positivity rate below 7%. Currently, we're at 18%. But there are a number of other businesses that are allowed open. It's on the website for Fresno County. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that. But the good news is today, we're trending in the right direction. We're going in the right direction. We're starting to see businesses open again, which means people are going to be able to get back to work. And I am very, very confident in the very near future with the dissemination of the vaccine and people wearing masks, we're going to get back to some form of normalcy. Who knows? Hopefully by summer. Yes. We, in terms of City Hall being opening soon, I can tell you we have a personal goal here of Memorial Day. Like to see it sooner, but much of that's going to be dependent upon the dissemination of the vaccine. As you know, we had anticipated a lot more vaccines coming to Fresno County than we have had, and they've had to postpone some of the vaccination appointments. So much of that's going to depend on the vaccines and what our positivity rates are and our ICU capacity. If number one, if protesters come to a person's house, they have the right to go to certain properties, but if they violate some type of a trespassing, then they're subject to arrest then as well. If it's private property, they're told to leave and they fail to leave, then they're subject to arrest. Yes. The protests, as I know them, they're being organized by a certain individuals, select individuals who feel strong about their constitutional rights to be able to enter a business without a mask. They're wrong, but that's their belief. And our city attorney's office has given us their opinion, and so we're going to continue to do what we need to do to keep businesses safe, to keep businesses open. But they are organized. I don't know if they're contacting each other via social media, but I do know it's relatively the same people showing up. We had our first cases this weekend, and that was at a liquor store. And so, again, can't do that. Wait in line, wear your mask, pay what you're supposed to pay, let the clerk scan the item so they can take it off their inventory, charge you the right amount, and let's do business like we're supposed to do business lawfully. Okay? Thank you, guys.